You ever felt like the world runs on a set of, I don't know, invisible rules? Well, it kind of does, and they're called economics. And look, this is not about memorizing a bunch of charts for a test. It's about getting a whole new toolkit for your brain, a way to see the why behind pretty much everything, from your morning coffee to what's happening in the global headlines.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to bust some common myths about what economics even is. Then we'll get to the heart of it, the one single problem that drives everything, scarcity. From there, we'll see how that problem forces all of us to make choices, and we'll look at the three core principles that guide those choices. And finally, we'll wrap it all up by showing you how this new way of thinking can literally change how you see the world. All right, first things first, let's clear the air. Before we can really build up what economics is, we've got to tear down a few really common ideas about what it isn't. Let me ask you something. When I say the word economics, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of people, it's a stock ticker, right? Or maybe piles of money, or some super complicated spreadsheets. And if that's you, you're not alone. But that's where most people's understanding of this kind of starts, and unfortunately, where it stops. Yeah, the common view is that economics is some kind of user's manual for getting rich, or for running a business, or maybe even for predicting the stock market. And look, while all those things do involve economics, they're just tiny little pieces of a much, much bigger and honestly more fascinating story. So if it's not just about money, then what is it about? Well, it turns out the entire field of economics, and I mean all of it, is built on one single really powerful idea. This right here is the true starting point for everything. And that big idea is scarcity. It's just the simple, universal truth that we all have unlimited wants, but we live in a world with limited resources. Think about it. It doesn't matter if it's time, money, or slices of pizza. There's just never quite enough to go around for everyone to have as much as they truly like. You can boil it all down to this simple, unavoidable math. Our wants are greater than our resources. And this isn't just some abstract idea. It is the engine that powers every single economic question and every single choice we have to make every single day. It's so fundamental that there's this great saying that sums it up perfectly. Without scarcity, there is no need to economize and therefore no economics. I mean, if we could all have everything we wanted whenever we wanted it, the whole subject would be totally pointless. Okay, so if scarcity is the universal problem, what's the inevitable result? Well, it means we are forced to choose. We simply can't have everything, so we have to decide what we're going to have and what we're going to have to live without. And economics? That's really just the study of that whole process. So here it is, the more formal definition. Let's unpack this for a second. Economic agents, that's just a fancy term for anyone or anything making a choice. So that's all of us. And we're all allocating scarce resources that have alternative uses. Think about a simple plot of land, right? It could be a farm or it could be a factory. You have to choose. Economics, then, is just the study of how these countless choices ripple out and shape our entire society. And when we say economic agent, we mean everybody. It's you deciding what to buy for lunch. It's a family planning a vacation. It's a huge company deciding who to hire. It's a government setting tax policy. Heck, even a street gang figuring out its turf is making economic choices about its scarce resources. Now, to make sense of all this, economists basically use two different lenses. First, there's microeconomics. That's where we zoom in and look at the choices of individuals and single businesses. Things like why the price of gas is what it is. Then there's macroeconomics, where we zoom way out and look at the whole economy. We're talking about big picture stuff like inflation, unemployment, and national growth. And there's one more really key distinction we've got to make. There's a difference between positive economics and normative economics. Positive economics just describes what is. It's about facts that we can actually test with data. Like, raising the minimum wage might cause some businesses to hire fewer people. We can go out and check if that's true. But normative economics argues what ought to be. It's a value judgment. Something like the government should raise the minimum wage. See the difference? One is about facts, the other is about opinions. So let's do a quick check. How do you spot a normative statement out in the wild? What's the biggest giveaway that someone is sharing an opinion and not just stating a fact? Yep, the answer is B. And it all comes down to one little word, should. Anytime you hear someone say what should happen or what someone ought to do, that is a huge red flag that you're hearing a normative statement. It's a recommendation, an opinion, not a cold, hard, testable fact. Okay, so we know what economics is all about, scarcity and choice. But how do economists actually think about these problems? Their entire way of thinking is built on three core principles. And this is your brand new economic toolkit. So what are they? Well, they are optimization, which is all about making the best possible choice you can. Then there's equilibrium, which describes how all our choices find a kind of balance. And finally, empiricism, which is about using real-world data to check our work. Let's take a quick look at each one. First up, optimization. This sounds complicated, but it's really just the idea that people are trying to choose the best possible option available to them. But, and this is a big but, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Every single choice involves a trade-off. When you choose one thing, you are always giving up something else. And this applies to everything, especially your time. Just imagine you have 5 free hours tonight. That's your time budget. Every single hour you spend scrolling through social media is an hour you cannot spend working at a part-time job and earning money. That right there is the trade-off. And economists have a powerful name for what you're giving up, the opportunity cost. It's the value of the next best thing you didn't do. All right, the second principle, equilibrium, is what happens when everybody is optimizing at the same time. It's that point of balance where nobody feels like they can improve their own situation by making a different choice. Basically, everyone is doing the best they can given what everyone else is doing. You want to know a perfect example? The checkout lines at a grocery store. Seriously, why are the lines always about the same length? Because every shopper is optimizing. We all try to pick the shortest line. If a new register suddenly opens, people rush over, but only until the lines balance out again. The whole system, with no one in charge, naturally settles into an equilibrium. It's pretty cool when you think about it. And finally, the third principle is empiricism. This is the all-important reality check. See, economists can't just sit around and dream up theories about how people behave. They have to actually go out and test those theories with data. This is what makes economics a social science and not just guesswork. Analyzing real evidence to see if these ideas about optimization and equilibrium actually hold up in the messy real world. So we've got scarcity, we've got choices, and we've got these three principles to help us analyze them. But so what? Why does any of this actually matter to you? Well, because learning to think like an economist gives you a kind of superpower. It's a new framework for understanding the hidden forces that are shaping our world. It's what helps you decode the news, understand society on a deeper level, and honestly, just be a more informed citizen. It helps you see the why behind what people do every single day. So I'll just leave you with this one thought. Now that you have this new toolkit, this economic way of thinking, what are some of the invisible trade-offs and opportunity costs that you'll start to notice in your own life, in the world around you? Because I guarantee once you start looking for them, you'll start seeing them absolutely everywhere.